Yeah, I've been kind of looking forward to seeing how we're doing here, Pez. Have you looked at it yet?
Yeah, I've got one guy, and I've got
Yeah,
him in a lot of
yeah.
leagues already, so I'm pretty safe, tucked away, and
So
I'll
let's
jump
take a
straight
look.
into it if you want me to.
Well, let's take a look at our predictions. Who do we? What is our first division? Our first league. We have the.
No, this is the player to target down the final stretch.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I got the. Okay. Yeah. Who's the player? Now here's the player that's usually going to be mentioned in the top level. Okay, the stars of the league. We're not talking about the Bijan Robinsons quite yet, but I guess he could be there. But certainly not players like Tank Dell. These are going to be the big guys. So who's the big guy that you're going to target down the final stretch?
Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry. Why?
Because he's slowly getting up to speed now. Clearly looks, these last two games, it clearly looks like he's thriving more off Will Levis than he was off Ryan Tannehill. And if you look at when you talk about fantasy, when you look at his final stretch, I did have it up before. I've gone somewhere else. 1 minute. If you look at his final stretch of games, so the playoffs, depending when your playoffs start, I'll just go from week 12, what he's like in 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Carolina,
Okay.
who can't. So target him now, because if you're on like the edge of trying to get into your playoffs, he could be a game changer. Carolina, who cannot stop a running back to save their life. The Colts, that's just a points fest at the moment because their defense just allows everything. Miami, and then he plays Houston, Seattle, and Houston. Now, his statistics against Houston is he's had was it until the last game, he had like 3 or 4 200-yard games back to back against Houston. So, and if you want to take anything from the Ravens game, they ran the fuck all over us. So,
Yeah.
that to me is a stretch where you want Derrick Henry in your football team, fantasy team, should I say.
Did some proper homework on this, Pez. I'm quite impressed.
I've had him in my back pocket, and I've got him everywhere I possibly can except my home league, because the guy who's got him doesn't know why I wanted him when he was playing crap, and he didn't know why I was willing to give up at the time of Josh Jacobs and something else just to get Derrick Henry. So he got a little bit scared and skeptical, but that's home leagues, isn't it? Your friends, your family, they don't give up anything for nothing. So I got him everywhere I possibly could,
They
where I didn't already have him early.
Yeah. When
So
your
we're ready
mates
to
offer
rock and
you a
roll.
trade, you're always thinking, what do they know that I don't know? Yeah, I get you. So I did not put as
Exactly.
much research into this, but I had a tough time narrowing down my choices. I decided on Najee Harris. And the reason why is because the Steelers have proven they're going to run the ball. I think he's finally looking healthy, and he's been scoring 14, 15, 16 points every week now. And I think that workload is going to stay. He's a solid number two, regardless. And I think he's going to continue scoring in those 15 to 20 point ranges. The Steelers are going to keep winning. They're playing Tomlin football. Now, I was going to say Lamb
Got a good.
because I'm a Cowboys. Well, not because I'm a Cowboys guy, but I was going to be accused. You're picking Lamb because you're a Cowboys guy. But the Cowboys have proved they're going to be feeding CD the ball. Tony Pollard is playing well, but it's not a running game. We're not a running team. It's Dak's team, and Dak's going to be slinging it. And Lamb is our only deep threat. And I think Lamb is the second guy on my list if you're going to be
But
looking to get
the,
somebody. But he's expensive. But Najee Harris, I think.
The issue, I was just about to say then, with CD, your issue is you've lost your window to get him because you're potentially paying up on your stars in your team.
That's right.
For him. You're never going to get him in a million years of anyone who has played fantasy for a long period of time. 47 points last week, 33 points this week. Again, you look at his running for the playoffs. He's got a guy who could get you into the playoffs because he goes. He's got the Giants next week, so you'd imagine he'd blow up. Carolina, even though it says it's meant to be a hard matchup, I still think you'd get it done. But then when you hit the playoffs, Washington, Seattle, Eagles, Buffalo, Miami, and then Detroit is the final, will be your final, depending if you do it week 16 or 17. Now, every single one of them matchups, in my eyes, how I look at it, pretty much will turn out to be what the Philly game was like last night.
Yeah.
So you're talking 25 plus points guaranteed pretty much every single game.
You're going to have to pay through the nose. So I went back to Harris as my guy because he's affordable. Yeah, you can give up a mid-level receiver probably and still get him. But you better get him quick if you're going to, because his stock is going to start rising.
I'd wait, because you for someone who said they've not done the homework, you've actually pulled a good rabbit out of the hat here, because he's got Green Bay this week, so he probably will have another consistent game. But then he goes against the Browns and the Bengals in week 11 and 12. I think he might, if he has a drop-off there, you want to go and attack him for your playoffs, because then he goes up against Arizona, New England, the Colts. Yeah. He does have the Bengals again, and then the Seahawks for the final. Now, even if he helps you get to either, depending on week 16 or 17, whenever your final is, if he gets you to the semis or the final, then it's worth its salt, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you pull right out the hat there.
Henry and Harris, those are two great choices. If you can get either of those, I think Henry is certainly solid. A bit older, but I think he's definitely more reliable as far as consistency. I like it. So let's go to the next one here, Johnny, just to keep moving. Players to stay away from. Now, you went first last time, so I'll go ahead and go first this time. And I might be a little controversial. Once again, I had a hard time narrowing it down. But I'm going to go with Debo. My other choices were Mostert and Kupp. But I think I'm going to go with Debo. He's been injured. He had a couple of good games, but I think Ayuk and CMC, they're Purdy's guys more than Debo. And I think Debo is starting to show some of his wear and tear from years past. So I know it's a high-powered offense. He can go off any week. But I'm thinking 10 less points more than 10 more points come the rest of the season. What are you thinking, Bez?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with every single name you took. You mentioned the name I was going to mention, but yeah, Debo isn't like. If you're a Niners fan, you want him back.
Yeah.
Because clearly they've struggled since he's gone. He's clearly, whatever he does is a key thing. But when it comes to fantasy, I can't see him getting going anytime soon. His best season was when he was used as a running back and a wide receiver. He spies dummy out, didn't want to play that game because he wanted wide receiver money. So they're like, right, okay, we'll use him as a wide receiver, and he's not been done the same since. So, yeah. I completely agree with that one.
So who's your guy?
My guy is, it's Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua.
Oh, well,
This is it.
Yeah, wait. Well, Nacua would be in the next. You can still take him.
All right.
Yeah.
I just think this is it. Like, the year the Rams won the Super Bowl, my brother has said this about Matt Stafford before he even came to the Rams. He said Matthew Stafford is always one bad hit away from his whole season derailing.
Mm-hmm.
The year he won the Super Bowl was a freak thing. Like he just stayed healthy the whole way through. But last year he got banged up. This year he got banged up. He won't be the same again. He does it year in, year out. When he's healthy, he's good,
Yeah.
and he's like we've seen it. We've seen what he can do,
He
but
always plays
this is
hurt.
it now.
He always plays hurt, and his stats or his game suffers because of that. Tough guy.
Yep. So if I was the Cooper Cup manager and I'm around the playoffs, I'd be properly looking into that situation, seeing if Matthew Stafford's even coming back.
Yeah.
And whilst there's still name value to him,
trade Kupp for
try
Harris.
and get him. Yeah,
Kupp for Henry. Yeah.
Kupp for Henry. You could use that. Yeah, I'd like Derrick Henry with the way he's played these last 2 games, and then he's running to finish the season. Yeah.
That's what we're here for, to offer these Kupp owners solution for their team. You take Kupp, you take Debo, and you get Harris, and you get Henry. There you go. All right, so Johnny, let's go to the surprise. Now, these surprising guys, we mean the guys that are perhaps not top 20, top 30 if they're a wide receiver. Perhaps not a top 15 guy if they're a running back. For example, for surprising, I had 2 guys, Tank Dell and Ferguson, tied in from Dallas. Now, Ferguson's big game yesterday obviously puts him on the radar. But I think that, again, the Cowboys don't have a second option, really. Gallup and Cooks have done nothing. Ferguson has shown he can be the guy. So if someone is willing to trade Ferguson cheap, get him. He's only going to get better. But Tank Dell, I think it showed before he got hurt, he has chemistry with Stroud. I think he will end up being the number 1 guy on that team. What do you think, Pez?
Yeah, I like that. I've got Tank Dell a few places. It always stuck out to me when they drafted him that it was CJ Stroud who asked the organisation to go and draft him. And like you said, he had the 2 games early on where you saw the chemistry. So you could see it happening because even though Nico Collins has had his games, I think you put like them 2 healthy together, I think Tank Dell always rises to the top. You saw it last night. It's 46 seconds, 1 big bomb to Tank Dell, 1 big touchdown to Tank Dell. It was just Tank Dell, Tank Dell, Tank Dell, and that's what he brings. So I do like where your train of thought is there.
Yeah. So who's your guy? Do you have one? Because I know this was a late edition. I don't know if you had time to research everybody.
I've got one, and solely because his running isn't too bad, and this is a surprise hit dependent on Kyler.
Okay.
If Kyler comes back, Marquise Hollywood-Brown is going to be a big hit. Just look at the previous years. Look how well he did when Kyler was there. Best friends off the field.
Friends. That's why he went there, right?
And they have an amazing chemistry on the field.
Yeah.
So Kyler's going to come back and he's just going to go, what's familiar? Hollywood-Brown, Hollywood-Brown, Hollywood-Brown. And I think, again, it's a bit shy that they've got a bye at week 14, but they've got Pittsburgh, the 49ers, Chicago Bears, and Philly. Now, if Kyler does come back, it's just going to be garbage time, or it's just going to be shootouts everywhere.
Yeah.
And I think you might look at it and go, oh, he started on 5 points, but by the end of the game, he'll probably be on 25 points just because of garbage time, or Kyler's just like, I trust you. Yeah, I'm going to target you 10 times. I worry
about Brown. I think it's a feast or famine, boom or bust week with that guy. I've had him on lots of my teams, and I finally got rid of him in most. through the past 2 seasons, because it really will be 30 points one week, and then the next 2 weeks he'll get 2 or 3. And it just kills you.
But that's why I'm saying it's only if Kyler comes back.
Yeah. If Kyler comes
Look
back,
at the games
I can
with
see that.
look at the games without Kyler. I chuck another one in there because it is a bit of a thingy. One more that is a surprise hit going down the stretch is I like Evan Ingram, because if you look at him at the moment, he's tight end 7.
Yeah.
Not had a single touchdown yet all season. Not a single touchdown, but he's a top 10 tight end. Last year, when he had a good year, he had 4 touchdowns.
Okay.
Right? But if you look at his points, he's getting double-digit points more than he's not getting double-digit points. And I just think the further you go down, he's got some in the playoffs. There's some hard matchups there where he could be targeted quite a bit as the dump off. Get the ball out quick when you're talking about the Browns and the Ravens back to back. I don't think Lawrence is going to have enough time to develop Kirk deep downfield, Ridley deep downfield. So I think Evan Ingram could have exposure in them harder matchups for wide receivers and stuff, where he could get the shorter yard stuff. He can do yards after the catch, all them kind of things. So he could be a little sleeper to keep an eye on.
I like that one. I have not thought about Evan Ingram, and I think I will. I will take a look at some of my teams where I'm weak and tight end and see what my options are.
Do you want another one at tight end? If you want another tight end option who I think could come on strong for the second half of the year, I've always liked him. When he came out of the draft last year, he was highly rated. And I watched him in this Houston game. It could have just been a one-off, but it's one to monitor, and you'd be able to get him cheap, if not for free, is Kate Upton.
I have him on a lot of my teams. I kept him. And people are like, when he gets dropped, I had him. I knew. Tight ends take time to develop, because that's what the Cowboys do. They will draft a tight end, and they will wait 3-4 years, and then suddenly they come out of nowhere. Well, Jake Ferguson is in year 2, but he's really coming on strong. Tight ends take time. And Cade Otton, yeah. And I think Isaiah Likely one day will be that guy out of the Ravens.
Yeah. Might need to go to a different team because Mark Andrews is Mark Andrews. Right. But I watched him yesterday, and when he got his opportunities and all the starters of the Ravens got benched, he was good.
Yeah.
He was solid. So I agree with that.
All right, I think that's a great one. All right, let's go to the next one here, Johnny. Who are we going to stay away from? So I'll go ahead and go first, finish it off again. I like you bringing it home. So who are your guys or the surprise bust of the second half? Well, mine might surprise you. I thought about Puka, to be honest with you, because Stafford being hurt. Then I've already put Kupp on my list. But I am actually going to go with Nico Collins out of Houston. I think that if Dell stays healthy, he's going to get the majority of the targets. Nico, I think, is number 12 wide receiver in Orkney Bowl standings right now or something like that. And I think Nico will slowly finish around the 25th wide receiver. So that means there's going to be a lot of bad games for him. So that's what I'm thinking. What are you thinking, Pez?
One that I went to first, but then I realised that he went off injured and came back and scored a passing touchdown. I was going to say Travis Etienne, but because of the injury, because you've got to remember he's having a great year. But
he is. But is that a surprise?
Their stretch.
Like a low, yeah, I guess it would be. Yeah, okay, why not? I was thinking lower level players that are playing well already, like Nico. No one expected Nico to play well, right? And he's number 12. I think he's going to flame out the second half. Did ET?
Do you know what though? I
Expect
still
ETN
think
to be top 5? I think a few people did, but yeah, I think he could be
I
a
don't think
bust.
if you listen to a lot of fantasy podcasts, they weren't that high on
Yeah,
ETN this year because of the Tank Bigsby thing. So I'm only saying it as well because if you look at the playoff run, Bengals, Browns, Ravens, Tampa Bay,
oh,
that is
wow,
his playoff
wow!
run.
If you're in a redraft, now's the time to move him.
So contrast in the Oatly Bowl, he's running back 3 on the year.
Wow, yeah. Now's the time
But
to move
I
him.
would 100% use him to go and get a Derrick Henry, go and get something
Yeah, you
else.
can get 2 for
What
1 with ETN right now.
I
I'm
didn't
certain
realise then he's the
that
first
Harris.
person when I read this question. He's the first person when I read this question where I thought
Yeah,
ETM popped into my head, but I didn't realise how bad his playoff run was.
yeah,
It's a bad playoff
yeah.
run.
That's a good one. I like it. But I don't have ETN on any of my teams. I stayed away from him, unfortunately. But because I'd love to cash in right now. I like
So
to take
the
ETN
funny
to
thing
the
is,
bank, get my cashier's check, go spend it. Yeah,
so the funny thing
man,
is,
that's a good
Manchester
one.
Bees in my division, Manchester Bees, who's 7-1, has ETN. Now, if he listens to this, he'll be interested to see if I get a trade offer because I've got Derrick
Yeah,
Henry. You know,
yeah. I think tonight we gave some really solid advice. There's going to be a lot of owners that think we're crazy, right? But I think that the players we mentioned and the reasons, and then you had some good backup evidence there, more research. Start calling you Dr. Pez, the fantasy research with knowledge like that, my man.